Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Real Estate Network. Today, we have Farah with us. We're going to dive into his company, Build 412, and also his real estate career. Thanks for coming, Al.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's go ahead and start talking about your history in real estate. I think that would be great to start that way, how you got into it, your family's history in real estate,
Sure.
Kind of everything started spiraling.
I guess you can say, I was kind of raised in the real estate. Mm-hmm. Parents are immigrants. My entire family is, immigrants. They came over here from Syria. My grandfather and my great uncles, something drew them to real estate. I don't know what it was. They started buying property, and it just kind of passed down generation to generation. Aunts, uncles, my family migrated here. They started in Oakland, and then the next thing you know, they start buying property.
Wow.
And it just kind of blew up from there. So as a young kid, I was born in Oakland. I remember you can walk within 3 minutes any direction, you're going to be at someone's house, a relative.
That's pretty neat.
It was pretty neat. It still was like that. And I would say, honestly, between my aunts and uncles and cousins and relatives, they probably own 300 units in Oakland.
Wow.
Yeah, there's, that's kind of like the hub where it started. And then it started to expand. And
what year did they come over, or when did they start?
My mom and dad came over here. Let's see, my brother's 34. They came over a few years before that. So probably 1985-ish. My dad came over. My mom was already here. She came over as a young child, went back, met my dad, then brought my dad back over. So my mom was kind of Americanized a little bit. She went to school here. My dad was fresh off the boat. He came over here, like I said, when he was 20 years old. I remember him telling me he had like $13 in his pocket.
That's incredible.
It is. My mom didn't have much money. My mom had to actually sell, it's an Arabic tradition. When you get married, the husband's family buys the wife a piece of gold. And I'm not talking like a bracelet or something, like a nice hefty piece of gold. And it's like, I don't want to say it's like a keeping up with the Joneses thing, but like, the bigger the better.
Yeah.
So my mom got, they bought her something. My mom actually sold it to buy my dad a plane ticket so they can come over here. So, when they were over here, they literally had nothing. We lived in an apartment. They lived in an apartment. And then I remember an opportunity arose, and, my dad worked, my mom worked, and they bought a 3-unit in Oakland, which my dad still owns now, and the value is ridiculous. Like for what they bought it for, it's worth a lot of money. But then they just started accumulating properties. We bought a 3-unit in Oakland, then we bought our house in Beachview, and then after that, they actually bought property in Lawrenceville, right on Butler Street, right when you come over the 40th Street Bridge that my mom owns now, and it's like her retirement. It's a gold mine, But like I said, that's kind of like seeing how they did it. So when I make purchases now, as far as my investing, the back of my mind, I'm like, in 30 years, this is a main drag. This might be like the next Lawrenceville, or this property is going to appreciate. So just taking stuff from what they did and kind of keeping that in the back of my mind, like, hey, they bought this building in Lawrenceville for $80,000, and the next door for $40,000. It's probably worth $2 million right now. Like that stuff like that's in the back of my mind. And a lot of people say, oh, how lucky is your mom, or how lucky is this and that? Like
they had to work.
They're not lucky. Yeah, they worked their ass off. They saved their money. They bought that, and and that's kind of, they were very smart. So that's kind of, and a lot of people would assume my dad, like the male's the go-getter and the hustler. My dad was a workhorse. He would work. My mom was the hustler. My mom was the brains of the operation. And, she took the paychecks and saved the money and would kind of push my dad and like, hey, this is a good idea. There's a property here. We should buy it, and there's been times when my mom tells me stories of like, hey, we could have bought this, but at the time it wasn't right, and I wish I was more aggressive. So that's another thing too, like when I hear that, sometimes people ask me like, hey, as an investor, like, what do you do that separates you? I would say work hard, and you have to be aggressive.
Yep.
Like my mom was aggressive. She was a shark. And there's times where she tells me like, hey, I could have bought this place for $100,000. And right now it's probably worth $500,000. Like, so that's also in the back of my mind. Like, hey, if there's a deal that arises, like you got to put whatever you can, scrap, borrow, beg, plead to get the deal done, to get it, because it's going to work out for you. Yeah. So like growing up, that was instilled in me. Buy property, never sell. That's like one thing that I think me and a couple of my cousins kind of developed a little bit. Like nobody in my family sold any property. It was like almost unheard of for somebody to sell property. But you know, my company took off was from a flip, but you know, growing up, it was buy and hold, work hard, save your money, buy a house. That what my grandma would always tell me in Arabic, God rest her soul. She would say, lim masare, it's like save your money and shtere bet. She would like, and buy a house. Like that was her thing. Like save your money and buy a house, save your money, buy a house. So again, as a young kid, that was like instilled in me. You know, and then high school came, and then, you know, after high school, during high school, my dad, his company was growing. He was a general contractor. He was building commercial restaurants downtown. You know, he was successful. And I really wish I would have kind of stuck with my dad. And I went my own way, chasing the girls. And you know how that is. I'm going to go visit my friends in college and do dumb stuff in the streets, whatever. Because my mom and dad split up high school age. So, you know, I kind of had two different households where my mom took over the pizza shop in Lawrenceville, and she was working there full time, and my dad was doing his whole thing full time. So I didn't really have much guidance in high school. Like they were busy working and put food on the table, and behind their back, you know, I was running around doing, you know, me and my brothers doing stuff that probably shouldn't have been doing. But luckily for them, you know, the hustle gene was in my system, right. And that age where you're kind of young and naive and you're not worried about the consequences, I was figuring out ways of how to make money. And then once I got older, you know, I clicked like, hey, I need to figure out how to make money the right way.
Right.
So went and worked for my uncle in the car business. He still has it, car dealership. I thank him. I made a lot of money there. Spent a lot of money too on stupid stuff. And I remember when I left there, I didn't really have much saved, but I did buy a house in Beachview. It was like 40 grand. Put like 5 grand into it. And when that refinanced, I did a cash out on it. It appraised at like 170,000. And once that happened, that was like it for me. I was like, okay,
you're
real
sticking
estate,
with this. And you're going with
I was
it.
like, real estate is it. I just got with, you know, my wife now, Josie, you know, and she like, you know, was like, hey, real estate, you know, I told her what I was doing, and she motivated me and she pushed me, and she's like, you know, you should focus on that. And that was it. After that, it was like, I'm going to dive into real estate full head of steam. And I did. And I helped my mom. I did procrastinate a lot. At the time, I wasn't licensed. My mom had a flip going. She had some bad luck, bad contractor, kind of, you know, just the stigma.
And when you say license, are you talking about contracting or real estate? Real estate
yeah,
license.
So real estate. So my mom had a flip in Lawrenceville. It was, you know, a $400,000 property. She got a really good deal on it. She knew the seller. And then a contractor, you know, took some money off her, didn't finish the job. So me and my dad went, finished it for her. She sold it. She did well. But that was like, a relative sold the house who was licensed, but in back of my mind, I'm like, this should have been my listing. It's my mom, you know?
Right.
So that was it. As soon as that happened, I enrolled in real estate courses. I did half online previously. I just, again, procrastinating. I was young. I was chasing money. I wasn't really paying attention to that. So I got licensed immediately. And then I ended up buying my first flip, which was in Lawrenceville. I hit a home run on that one. And that was it. That's when Build 4 and 2 kind of originated and kind of took off. And, you know,
What year was that?
This was 2000, 4 years ago.
Okay. So that's kind of when
That's kind of like when, you know, I was focusing on building a brand, and just like you're doing, like I see what you're doing. That was my intention. Like, hey,
let's do something.
Contractors get a bad rap for not answering the phone or for ripping people off or for not showing up. Like, I wasn't really doing a lot of work for people at that time. I was focusing on my own project. But when I was doing that flip, I just said, hey, I'm going to make this house exactly what I would make it like if I was going to live there. I want it to be the nicest house in the area.
Versus like, how little can I get away with?
Versus like, your general flippers,
yeah.
like, hey, I'm going to paint the walls gray. I'm going to get shitty cabinets. Excuse my language. I'm going to get.
No, you're allowed to swear.
I'm going to get shitty cabinets, and I'm going to save money on every single thing I can and make it look like every other comp. My idea was completely different. Like, hey, I got a good deal on this house. I'm going to make this thing sick as if I was going to live here. That way I know when people walk in the door to look at it, they're going to want to buy the house. Like, they don't have a choice. Like, they're going to say, this is the nicest house we looked at. We want to buy it.
Right.
And we did that. I mean, we put a lot of money into it. And the first guy that looked at the house was like, I told my coworker, my workers at the time, I said, I bet you, a bachelor's going to buy this house. It was white and wood and modern and black steel stairs. It was steel siding. It was really nice.
That's pretty cool.
And that's what happened. You know, first guy that came in gave us an offer way over asking. And at the time, I was literally at the airport when I got the offer going to a bachelor party in Nashville. And I'm like, that's it. I'm not even going to do a highest and best offer. Like the agent was like, you know, how much do we have to do? I said, just send me your best offer. And it was well over asking, and we took it. And that was it. Once that happened, that was my next thing. Like, okay, flipping houses is really good. And you can make a lot of money. It gets my company a lot of glory. And like, you know, my brand was starting to establish. And then at the end of the year comes and you got to go do your taxes. And then you're like, oh shit, I forgot about capital gains.
Yeah.
Which I didn't, but you know, that was one thing I kind of wanted to highlight.
But it's all learning curves.
It's all learning curves. That's, you know, like I said, I was just talking in the coffee shop next door. We're kind of transitioning. We went from flipping houses to now we're buying a lot of properties and holding them because the market's a little bit different. The rates are higher. You're not getting a bunch of offers. It's a buyer's market right now. So we transitioned, but that flip is kind of what got the, you know, my company off the ground and running. And as I was doing that, I was going to look at properties for myself, and I was just putting everything on Instagram, which is honestly what built my business. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything was being on Instagram so people can see not just the finished product, they can see
the process.
The process, exactly. Hey, this is what we ran into. This is how we're going to fix it. This is how it's going to be done. Because again, I'm renovating these properties under Build 412, not under some entity or LLC.
Right.
I'm selling them myself. So the last thing I want is somebody calling me in 6 months and saying, hey, this shower's leaking. If that happened, I'm going to go fix it. But again, like we don't cut corners when we do that stuff. So I think putting all that out there really helped the brand gain trust with potential clients for renovations. And then also as a real estate agent too. So this is when my real estate started to take off. Like people just associated Alex Farah and Build 412 with real estate, you know, and with construction. So, you know, that's one thing I was going to highlight. I operate it just like I operate my contracting business, off of honesty.
Right.
I tell people from the gate, hey, we're probably going to be more expensive than the other guy you called, but we're going to show up to give you a bid. We're going to show up if you sign a contract. We're going to get the job done. And if there's anything wrong with the job or anything you don't like, we're going to fix it. It's just, you're not paying for me to do the work. You're also paying for me to manage the job, and you're paying for expectation. Quality control. Exactly. So that's kind of like how I morphed. You know, I was born into real estate. I dabbled a little bit. And then once, you know, I did that flip, it was just game over from there.
A year ago this time, I had found myself in a place where, you know, I was not sure where I was going in real estate. I just wasn't sure. I knew that I love being a realtor. I absolutely love it. I love getting to know people. I love talking to people. I love becoming such an integral part of their life in such a season, and you get to know people in such an intimate way. And but there were aspects of the industry and things that just didn't fit with me, and I just didn't feel like I was sure where I was headed with it. You know, I knew that I had a lot to offer, but I wasn't sure where I was going. So I actually was just taking my time and thinking about things before I made a move.
So let's talk a little bit about the renovations for Build 412. Some things that you guys do that make you stand out, and things that people, the things that they like to try.
Sure. First and foremost, as a company, we're blessed. You know, like I have other people and peers and who are in the same line of business as I am as far as contracting wise. And they ask me, how do I get leads? On my website, I probably get a good 1 or 2 submissions a week. And I it's like reverse, you know, like a lot of people, you know, interview their contractors and get a bunch of bids. And that happens too with us, but I'm able to turn it around and I'm kind of interviewing the client.
What do you want?
What do you want? What's your budget? What are you looking to do? You know, can you send me any inspiration pics? And this is all stuff I get before I even go look at the house because I'm busy. You know, I'm juggling I'm a real estate agent. I'm a contractor. You know, I'm an investor. I'm a landlord. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. So I'm not just going to drive around all day and drive house to house to house. I can line up 5 a week if I wanted to, but I get to, you know, again, I'm fortunate enough where I kind of get to interview the client and prioritize.
Yep.
If they're telling me we just want whatever's in stock at Lowe's, or, you know, we're on a budget here, no offense to the client, but that's not what I want to get my guys tied up on, you know. But, you know, like we were talking about the kitchen we just did in Mount Lebanon with the gorgeous green cabinets. We got a pretty good notoriety off that. One, I talked to the clients, they had a good budget. From the minute I started speaking to her in him, she was so organized and detailed. I just knew immediately. I'm like, I want to work for them. Like her,
to be pleasant.
Her taste was bold. I loved it. We were aligning on that, and that was just a job where I'm like, okay, I'm going to prioritize some things. I want to focus on this one, and I'm going to send a bid. And if we connect on this one, great. And we did, which is good. Like I said, that post there. That post from that kitchen, I probably got 5 or 6 leads just off that post.
Wow.
And
I believe it.
Maybe I'll sell 50% of them, which would be nice. But stuff like that really helps too. When we're doing jobs like that, that's like magazine stuff. Like you don't see, there's a few contractors around the Pittsburgh area that do stuff like that. But those are the people that have giant overhead. They have production, and they have foremans, which we have a foreman too, but they have project managers and foremans. They can't talk to the owner. We're not set up like that. We're a 5-man crew. When there's communication, you're communicating with me. I'm the contractor. I'm the project manager. I have foremen that run jobs for me, but I'm there every day. I'm checking up on the job. I'm the last guy there when we do finish work, making sure it's cleaned up. So there's kind of like from the outside in, we look like a big company. Yeah, we have, all this stuff, but we're a mom and pop shop. We're a small business, and, it's easier to manage stuff like that.
Right. Absolutely.
And,
more of that family atmosphere.
Exactly. There's a text me, it's just name of the game. I'm charging you money I'm making a good amount of money, but if you want to text me at 10 o'clock at night and just say, hey, I forgot to order this, that's not a problem. Sure. You're not going to be able to do that with these other companies that are going to provide work like that. They're going to charge you for change orders. That's the one thing. I have somebody, I was just talking to him. He used to work for this big company. I'm not going to name names. But he's like, yeah, dude, every time there's a change order, they just bill the customer $1,500.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like, I get it. Like, it's a process. And sometimes, we just have a job where we got the flooring. Customer didn't really care what it looked like. I should have ran it by the customer. I stocked the flooring in the house. She didn't like it. We have to get new stuff. Take it there, bring it back, go get new stuff, whatever. I'm not going to charge a customer that, but there's other companies who do that. Like I said, it's just a one-on-one process that some people do enjoy, like if there's an issue, they call me directly. They're not calling an office.
Right.
That's just what separates us, Yeah. I have, like I said, people who are in the industry, and they like to brag and say, oh, we're booked up for a year. We're booked up for 2 years.
But that turns people away.
It does. Yeah. It turns people away. And to me, like, that's like a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
I get it. You have to have a bunch of work lined up to keep your crew busy. We're blessed that I have my own investments, and my wife and I have, we have land, we have investment properties. We have so many things going on that if there was a couple of days where we're a little slow as far as the contracting side, I can just text the guys and say, hey, go to the shop tomorrow, pick up A, B, and C, go to this place that we have and do this. So I don't have to stress and worry about keeping them busy or lining up work like 5 jobs deep.
Right.
That's stressful. Who wants to handle that?
Yeah.
That was my thing. So again, we're blessed enough where, honest to God, it might take an Instagram post, of a kitchen, or like, we're building a cabin right now up in Erie. We built the cabinets.
That's really neat.
It's awesome. It's like been my favorite experience so far, but it's that area is sentimental to me. But we're building a cabin, and I just put like a story. It wasn't even a post of these cabinets. And I had 2 or 3 people reach out and say, hey, we're looking to get a vanity built, or we're looking to get, our kitchen done. Like, it's just something in me. It's so simple where if I needed to really hustle and scrap, I can book a job in 3 days. You know what I mean? And I'm not like saying that to be arrogant. I'm saying that as to be thankful and blessed for like what
absolutely
quality of work will get you. You're not going to find anybody out there that's going to say anything bad about us. We've had things happen in the past, accidents or just stupid mistakes. We go back and fix them. Again, you're not going to find any bad reviews about us in this business, especially contracting. Your name, your name is your word. I live over by South Hills Village Mall. We do a lot of work in my neighborhood. I've had neighbors tell me, you're crazy. How do you sleep at night? Like, you're not worried about, people know where you live. I'm like, no, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm making money off the project. Yeah. And if I have to deal with, again, I know what we do, so I don't have to worry about that in the back of my head.
Yeah.
My subs are good.
Honest work.
We do honest work. So that's, like I said, it's the name of the game. You're going to have to figure out trial and error, where you want to be at. And like I said, it just showing up every day and answering the phone has really helped my contracting business. That's kind of, we didn't start out as a contracting business. We started out as like Build 412 was a brand, and I wanted to build the brand, and I wanted to start a YouTube channel. But as things have coming along, like, we just booked a $500,000 job in Highland Park.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But that's like, to me, that's worth it. Like, okay, I'm going to be tied to this job for almost a year, but the company's going to make money, and this is going to be a good opportunity to maybe get potential new build clients that trust us. We're basically rebuilding a house. That's the kind of direction I want to go in. But customer service and honesty and reliability have really gotten us far and where we want to be.
I'm speaking of that. So I saw a house in Mount Lebanon, and maybe this is what you mean by that, right? I was driving by every day, and they like totally redid it. Like, so it's not like it was a whole like brand new house completely, but it's like the whole new site, like doors, windows, everything. It just looked like
it's
this
like, house is a shell, and we're putting it back together.
Yes,
new windows, new exterior, new doors, new decks, new floor, everything. I mean, it's and the person we're doing it for, it's a secret. I mean, he's over on the West Coast, but he's going to bring it to light. But again, that's an opportunity that I would have never had if I wasn't sharing all my, stories and sharing everything on social media. So that's another thing.
That's the beauty of social media.
It is. We were just discussing, like, I'm shy. I'm an introvert. I don't like it. I don't like attention, but I have friends who make fun of me and say, "Oh, what are you doing today? Taking a bunch of videos?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am actually taking a bunch of videos, and those videos just got me this job, and those videos,
How we grow our business.
Like people say, how are you finding your properties when you're buying and holding them?" People just reach out to me. I haven't bought a property off the MLS, like as far as a flip or an investment in a while now. I have people say, "Hey, so-and-so is buying a house, or so-and-so selling a house. Would you be interested?" Like the last 4 properties I've bought have been like that. Just word of mouth, people reaching out to me getting lucky, people knowing I'm in the business. We bought a laundromat. We turned it into a barbershop for my younger brother.
That's
we
really
got the whole building leased up, which is nice. I sold some of my laundry equipment. I just bullshitting with the guy. He's like, "Where'd you get all this stuff from?" And I said, "I bought a laundromat on Brownsville Road." He said, "No shit, I have a property on Brownsville Road. It's a 5-unit. I'm like, "Oh, great. Do you want to sell it?" He's like, "No." I hounded this guy for like a month. And he's like, "Go look at it." I went and looked at it, and I just sent him an offer. He said, "No, I need to be here." His number here was good for me. And I bought the building. Like, it just getting out of your comfort zone, persistence, showing up every day is going to separate you, regardless if you're a real estate agent, if you're a contractor, if you're an investor. Showing up every day and just getting things done, it's going to eventually snowball, and it's going to work out for you. You might not see it every day, but persistence on working, persistence on posting, persistence on staying focused, just all that snowballs, and it gets you to where you need to be.
It does, absolutely. So let's touch base a little bit on how you said you do the buy and hold, wholesaling. If you want to educate us a little bit, like on those processes, how they work. Because I'll be honest, wholesaling is one of those things, like, even to me, like, I get it, but I don't get it.
So wholesaling, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can buy the contract and sell the contract. We've done that a couple times. My wholesaling is normally, I like to close on the property, satisfy the seller that I'm buying it from, regardless if you're paying closing costs twice. You're paying it on one side, and then you're not paying it on the other side. So to give you an example, at 12 o'clock today, I have a couple investors coming to look at a house I bought in Pleasant Hills. I bought it for $200,000. It's probably worth $350 renovated. I'm going to try and sell it for $219 to an investor. If I can get it, great. If not, I'll just renovate it myself and sell it. But every property is different. Like, especially with the markets that are changing, normally I would buy and want to flip everything, but I can take that money and use that money elsewhere. Every situation is different. It didn't make sense as far as me to keep it and rent it. It makes sense to flip it, but if I'm going to go ahead and dump 50 into it and make 50, I might as well just try and make 20 and get it done in a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So wholesaling just honestly all depends on
the situation.
It's situational. Like the Brownsville property we bought, I could probably clean it up and sell that for $300,000. I can make really good money on that. But to me, that's a long-term thing. Hey, in the future, this might be worth $600,000. If I get every unit rented, it might cost me $150,000 to renovate the whole building. But in my eyes, the way I look at it and the way I explain to people who call me about investments, I say, hey, look at it this way. I bought this building for $145. I'm going to put probably $150 into it. So that's $300,000. My mortgage on that is probably going to be $2,500, $3,000. But I'm going to cash flow probably $5,500. So I'm buying myself a $2,500 a month salary. That's the way I explain it to people. It's very simple. You take your money and you dump it into a building, and in return, you're buying yourself a salary as long as every unit's rented and stays rented. So that's the way I look at that one. That just makes sense to me. Like, hey, that'll pay. You know, my wife, shout out Josie, you know, we own property and she wants to build a house. So do I. And I'm an impulsive person. So like, we're not even done with the cabin and I'm already in my head figuring out ways how to get it done.
Right.
And that's just like the hustler in me. Like I can get it done, but the experience I learned along the way is like, take it easy, relax, and figure out what's the best and economical way to get this done. Right. But you know, the way I thought about it is if once I get this building rented, that's $2,500 a month that'll go to our new mortgage on our house. So that's the way I look at it, you know, checks and balances. Every situation's different. You know, I had a couple wholesale deals in the past, and I had one in Beachview. I bought it for 40 and I sold it for 60. The dumbest thing I ever did. You know, at the time I was like, okay, 20 grand for doing nothing is great. And don't get me wrong, $20,000 is a lot of money, but hindsight 2020, I could have put 40 into it and it would have been worth 250,000. So I could have went to the bank and refinanced it and pulled out 100,000 and cash flowed $100, $200 a month and used that 100,000 to buy more property. But it's situational, you know, and once I did that and I sold that to a personal friend, he knew I was making money on him. He was getting a good deal. He did such a good job renovating it, you know, that kind of, I felt like that bit me in the butt. I'm like, that's something I should have probably kept in and got it moving.
Yeah. All learning curves again.
It's all learning
right?
curves.
Yeah.
You know, we own right across the street. We own a building. My wife and I bought it for years ago. We have a pretty good amount of units, but it's probably the biggest pain in the ass property I own. Just had a bad luck there. Just a bad luck string. We just renovated basically the whole thing. The outside's almost done. And we have tenants moving in. So for the first time in 3 years, it'll be 100% occupied. That's probably something we're going to sell. It just, you got to go with your gut. Once it's fully occupied, it'll be appealing to investors. We don't have too much money into it. We're probably going to make some money. So hopefully we'll get rid of that and snowball that money in another project or another property somewhere. But, you know, the good thing is we bought it, which is great. And we're in real estate. So again, like I look at real estate, you can relate it any which way you want, whether you're selling groceries, you're installing flooring, or even if you're selling drugs, you're buying something and you're going to sell it for more. How can you make this property a value add? You know, like, okay, this property here, we did the exterior, we did the commercial spaces brand new, and we renovated an apartment. So when we go to put it on the market to sell to an investor, it's going to cash flow a good amount of money. So luckily, this property has been good to us. We were able to buy some land with the money we had tied up in it. Once we sell it, we have land free and clear. We have a couple bucks left over. We'll set aside our capital gains and we keep it moving. You know, I wouldn't say it's going to be a loss. It'll be a win, but every situation is different. You know, if the taxes weren't high here and we need flood insurance on it, I would probably keep it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, just weighing out the pros and cons.
Exactly. Situational, you know, writing everything down in front of you. It's hard to keep track of stuff, especially when there's so many things going on. So I have those days where I'm in the office. I need to see it in front of me. If you look at my desk, it's clean once a month, but after that, there's just sticky notes and pen and just notes
all the
everywhere.
Yep.
Exactly. And I write everything down.
As soon as that pops in your head.
Exactly. I want to make sure that I'm fully understanding, because sometimes, you know, from an outsider, like, okay, if I buy this house for, my mortgage is $1,500 and I rent it for $2,500, I'm going to make $1,000 a month. Well, you're not, because you have insurance on your property. You have, most likely, if it's a multi-unit, you're paying all the water bill. If it's, everything, your home insurance, your water bill, all that stuff adds up. You're not understanding all that stuff, your taxes on the house, that stuff too, you have to really put in the deal and understand, what is there. So you just always want to, cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure everything is understood.
Absolutely. So you as an agent, I guess let's talk about that. Now we already kind of brushed a little bit on it, like how you shared like your true insight on things and let them weigh into a decision, right? But also what makes you for them to use you? What's the benefits of using you with your expertise and things you can provide them along the way during house tours?
There's a few benefits. Aside from me knowing construction and knowing what to look for, I'm also an investor. So I can tell you, hey, this is a good deal. After you renovate this one, or as is, it's a good deal. And I have experience, like I've been buying and selling property for full time, 5 years. Like I said, we've wholesaled a bunch of houses. I've sold houses. I have, 20 units. Like I have experience with title, with the insurance process, with the mortgage process. It just
you to answer a lot of questions.
Like I was just telling you next door, the last couple of years, there's been such an influx of real estate agents. And no offense to any other agents. Again, I'm probably like in the 1 percentile of agents because I don't give a shit what I look like. Like I didn't even do my hair. Look at my hair. I just don't care about appearance. I don't care about, like I pull up to go show Alice in my work clothes, like stains on my shirt. I'm dirty from doing demo. But what you're going to get with me is honesty.
Right.
Like I had a couple of times, I showed them probably 40 houses. They wanted to buy probably 4 of them, and I talked them out of 4 of them. Luckily, they stuck with me because they understood I had their best interest in mind. I ended up selling them a house that I owned, that I flipped, and they bought it, which worked out for everybody. But a lot of these agents have no experience in construction, which you don't have to have construction experience. They have no experience in construction. They have no experience in real estate. They don't understand the process.
No, it's just they did their classes.
Yep. That's it. They don't know anything. They have a checklist of what paperwork to put in and what to do that. And again, when you're using someone like yourself and like me with experience, you know what to check on the agreement. You know what to put on there. You're going to make sure you're putting inclusions on the agreement so you don't have to buy your clients a washer and dryer, which I've made that mistake early on. So a lot of things come with experience. Right. I had a situation where I had a relative, he wanted to buy a house, $1 million house. We actually were looking at one of your listings.
Yes. Yep. I remember that.
He had another, and we did buy a house, and that was a very nice commission, but he had another agent in his ear telling him, hey, buy this house. You should buy this house. And he was telling me like, yeah, so-and-so wants me to buy every house, we look at, and he's up my butt, but I didn't want, and I told him like, of course he does. Like he's going to make $30,000 commission off of you. He wants you to buy every single house you look at. The first house you look at, if you go with him, he's going to want you to put an offer in, and then I'm telling him, we looked at your property, and between me and you, there was another one that was a few $100,000 less that in my mind, once he renovated,
it made sense.
It made sense. I'm like, dude, if I were you, I would look at this one. Once you put a couple $100,000 in it, it's going to be worth the same amount as the other one, which your listing was beautiful. It needed nothing. It was perfect.
It was also coming out of the COVID pricing, right? So it's like my client the previous year, because then all the prices were jacked up. So that was the loophole we had to get out.
That was tough. That was.
And we did sell it, and we did good. He was happy with it.
Good.
But of course, like when we adjusted the price correctly,
it went nuts.
You have neighbors coming over to, you can't do it. Like,
yeah,
and it's
they're
like,
bitching
because
about
then
it.
they're upset.
Yeah,
and it's my client. He said, I don't care. He's like, I'll get out of this. And he's like, and I'm happy with this, So, but,
we were close on that one. I think we were like 100 apart at one point. But again, like 100,000 is a lot of money. And I was just looking out for my client, not only because he's my client, but he's my uncle. I'm like, dude, well, you want to spend 1.2 or do you want to spend 800,000 and make it exactly how you want it, and it worked out. And like I said, but that was just another thing where we looked at a bunch of houses. We looked at, probably 10, 15 houses, and, a lot of other agents would have shoved them or kind of did the salesman thing. This is it. This is the one. This is the one. And I see people do that. And
it's a shame when they do that.
It is.
Because it's about getting our clients into a great house, but it's not about our pay.
No,
we're helping their futures.
Exactly. Exactly. And like I said, that's, 90% of agents are like that, and
they just want to get the sale.
They want to get the sale, which I get it. Like, obviously we're doing this for money, but like
I find another way to have bread and butter in between. I mean, that's kind of,
I agree,
and it's how you're in investing and everything. That was one of the ways I started was, I knew like I needed to have something in between, because I'm not going to rush people, and that's when flipping was a big thing. And that's why I was like, let's, pair up. And it was actually, me and Bursick, right? Then we paired up and we did the flipping and all that. But it was just the bread and butter in between, right? Yeah. And I think some agents need to realize that you need that you need to have some type of bread and butter in between, because you can't push your clients.
No.
You cannot push them.
No, and like I said, I see it a lot, and I've had people come to me and say, "Oh, my agent's kind of shoving me into stuff," and I don't agree with that. I don't know how you can sleep at night when you do that.
Right.
And again, a lot of the times too, like, here's another thing too. Just because somebody's your real estate agent doesn't mean anything. Like, you just met this person or their referral. They don't give a shit about you. They want to get the deal done, get to the closing table, give you your $50 gift at the closing table. And after that, they're not even going to answer the phone unless you have a referral for them. So I look at it differently. I have the way I say it is, I have another Instagram account. I don't use it. I just made it. It's called The People's Agent, because I work for the people. Like, when I'm a real estate agent, they're coming to me because they trust me, and they're not coming to me because they just want to go buy a house. They want to make sure the house is stable and secure and it's a good deal. So, that's my fiduciary duty to my clients, to make sure they're getting the best bang for their buck.
Right.
And yeah, I don't want to drive around Peters Township for 3 months looking at 40 houses in my truck that I waste gas, but it is what it is. Like, that's what I sign up for. Yeah. I get a kick out of it. When people close on their house, and, I just helped a couple buy a house. Like, I see their kids playing in the backyard. That makes me, it's fulfilling. It makes me happy. I just help them. The commission's just a bonus, I don't need that real estate money. I do it to stay active in the real estate industry. And, I did, a little shy of 3 million last year. I'm probably going to do the same thing this year. Like, to me, that's pretty good for doing it on the side part-time and just helping friends and family. Like, I'm not actively marketing, which is what I should be doing, especially when you have a couple deals that are, over 500,000. You're like, shit, if I had 10 of these, like, this would be great. But I just wear so many different hats. Like, I'm comfortable with where I'm at. But again, I don't do that for the commission. I do it because I thoroughly enjoy walking properties with people.
And that resonates itself.
It does. Like, hey, I just, we walked 3 properties, and the third one they loved. The first one, I talked them out of it, and they were happy for that. That makes you feel so good. Like, hey, I might have talked them out of the deal. They might, but again, if we would have got to the closing table, they might have buyer's remorse. Like, if I didn't do that, they would have never found this house. It's $100,000 cheaper. It has an extra bedroom. It doesn't need as much work. And now they're happy. Like, that really, that's why I do it. So that's it. Like I said, it's my brokerage where I'm at. They don't bother me. They let me do what I want. They know I have my own business. It's a good match for what I'm doing as of right now.
So, what are the future goals for yourself, for Build 412, and you personally?
Well, me personally is just to have a happy and healthy family, business aside, and I owe it to my wife. I do need to sometimes take off the work hat. Like, I come home and I'm scrolling on my phone and I'm looking at buying shit off Amazon for rental properties and buying this for the cabin. I'm doing this and doing that when I just need to unplug when I get home. But,
and that's something I feel everyone in this industry, if you're a workhorse, right, and you're dedicated, it's almost trying to find, like, I had to go through that where it's like,
you gotta shut it off.
You're home. I put my phone in the other room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just, but the balance. The
balance is there. And you, like I said, you need to be reminded, but that's the go-getter in you. That's like the hustler in you. Like, sometimes, it's like I have notes in my phone, and sometimes I'm so busy that I don't get really a chance to sit on my phone till I get home or till the kids are in bed. And I got to do better at that. But aside from that, business goals, we just want to maybe venture into new construction. Like I said, we're almost finished with the cabin up in Erie. It's been seamless for us. It's been such an easy process to manage because the processes and procedures that are in place. You're just not going to rip a wall down and have a bunch of issues with plumbing or electrical where you have to then stop the project and wait for the trades to come in and fix them. Everything is in order. It's efficient. As far as working days, we probably built it pretty quick. It's been a year now since we started digging, which we're almost done. We're doing finish work right now, but we want to start building here in Pittsburgh area. As soon as I finish that, on the way here, I'm like, as soon as we finish the cabin, I'm going to do a tour walkthrough, put a nice video together, and then just, kind of advertise like, hey, we're going to get into new construction. If you have your own land, we're going to be a true custom home builder. We don't want to do production. We don't want to do a bunch of houses. I don't want to do that. I want to build one, maybe 2 houses at a time a year.
For an option.
That are again, I'm not just looking to work with anybody. I want somebody to come to us and say, hey, listen, look at these Instagram pages, look at these Pinterest photos. This is the house we want. And as long as, they have the budget and we're a good fit for each other, that's the direction I want to go in. I want a true custom, I want to be a custom home builder. A lot of people say they are. A A lot of people aren't. You bring your layout to me, we'll build it. That's the direction we want to go in.
Away from track building, away from this package, that package.
Exactly.
Let's
I don't
go
want to
through
give
and
you
do all the
5
details.
layouts and you pick for them. Like, you show me what you like. You tell me your floor plan. Give me 3 months to coordinate everything. I'll come back with you with a price, and maybe we can connect and go from there. Like, we legit want it to be, you know, and I do that with like kitchens too. Like, send me, I always, you know, I just looked at a bathroom job. They have a good budget. I'm like, tell your wife to send me every single picture she has saved, because I know she's picking the finishes. Send me all the pictures she has saved.
Yep.
And then we'll go from there, and I'll give you a broad budget. And if you guys are okay with that, then we'll take the next step into getting drawings done, to getting the permit process ready. But yeah, we want to get into new builds. We have, we were fortunate enough to, you know, we bought 10 acres last year. And again, this is something I learned from my grandfather. My grandfather would knock on anyone's door, leave his business cards everywhere. And again, that's
all you have.
That's all you have to do. Just get out of your comfort zone.
Yep.
The minute we closed on that 10 acres, I went and knocked on the neighbor's door, all of them, introduced myself. I left business cards. Hey, if you're ever in the business, or if you're ever in the market to sell, or do you want to buy, or just if anything, real estate, give me a call. I'm looking to buy. I'm looking to do whatever. My phone rang a few months ago, and it was the original owner of the land we bought. He said, hey, I know you bought the 10 acres. There's 20 acres next door to you. Do you want to buy it? And I'm like, dude, honestly, I don't have the money. Like, financially, I wasn't able to do it. And he's like, I'll work with you. And we worked out a deal, and now we own 30 acres.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
amazing.
It's right off of Route 50. You know, it's 5 minutes away from the Five Guys in Bridgeville. So it's close.
Wow.
It's South
That's
Fayette
gotta
School
be-
District.
There you
It's
go.
raw land, but lucky for us, there's the township's going to develop the road. They're going to put water and sewage in the street.
Wow.
So once that does happen, we're sitting on our investment. But we're going to build our house there.
Very smart.
Hopefully that turns into like a model home. Yeah, sure. I'm the builder. Look at what I just built. Come tour my house. And if you like it, maybe we'll subdivide and break off an acre. That's kind of, in my mind, that's kind of like my retirement process. Like, I don't need 30 acres. I want 10. Maybe I'll break off, you know, 10 1 acre parcels, and we get rid of those. And then there you go. I can retire. But that's the direction I want to go in the company. I want to do stuff like that. I want to build townhouses and keep them for myself. You know, like my grandfather, when he passed away, my aunts and uncles and my mom, you know, they inherited stuff. Like, my mom got, you know, I'm not looking forward to that, but it just, it passed down and passed down. So when I'm older and I pass away, I want my kids to be comfortable. And but I want to teach them, like, hey, hard work, you have to earn it. But I want them to inherit townhouses that we own or developments that we own. Like, that's just one I want to pass down to my kids. You know, like my daughter, she's my oldest. I always say she's going to be an electrician, because electricians don't have to do that much manual labor. You're pulling wires, and they make very good money. So my wife always yells at me, says she's not going to be an electrician, but she is. I'm going to push her in that direction, hopefully. But that's the direction, you know, that's the direction I want to go. You know, obviously we're still doing, you know, custom renovations. Follow us on Build 412 on Instagram, on Facebook. Still doing that, still booking work. We're growing. We're not growing as far as internally, as far as employees, but we're growing with our subs. So we're able to do more things. We're able to do bigger projects. And like I said, eventually we'll be in the new construction space, and we'll be kind of like the new young fresh company that does cool stuff. Just like the remodeling work goes, you know, like people see what we do and they know we can get it done. And we want to kind of take that onto a bigger stage and do stuff like that.
The fact you have that land, that's key right there. That's the key element.
That is key. So just to get into that, when I was younger, you know, 15, 14, we would go hunting, and this guy would take me and my dad and my brothers hunting. His name was Dave. And he would say, this is all around that area too, Cecil, Washington, McDonald. He would say, you know, when I was your age, none of this shit was here. This was all, we used to hunt all over this stuff. And, you know, I said, oh, okay. I was young. I didn't pay attention. So, you know, and I hunt over that way still. And as I'm driving it through there in the fall, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, when I was 14, none of this was here. None of these townhouses were here. This was all land that I used to hunt. So when I realized that, I kind of like got anxiety, you know. I'm like, shit, they're not, you know, they say they're not making any more of it when they're talking about land. That's kind of what got our wheels turning on the original property. And that's kind of, like I said, I mean, I had to borrow money to buy the other 20 acres, but it goes back to being aggressive. I had to figure out how to get this property, because I know in the future, it might be 10 times worth what I paid for it, which is the goal. And then we can break it up. And again, that can be my retirement plan. So it just, that property, like I said, is is a gift from God. I mean, just because I knock on the door, if I didn't do that, you know, that's one other thing. I want to pound it in your heads. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You know, I don't like doing that. I don't like introducing, you know, I do it out of respect and out of like, hey, this might pan out and work out for me, which it did. But and it doesn't matter whatever business you're in, just ask the question, shake the hand, you know, introduce yourself, because you never know what you can get out of it.
Get used to being uncomfortable.
You know, exactly. Get used to being uncomfortable and work hard and persistence.
Yep.
That's it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Al. It was
Thanks
a pleasure
for
having
me.
you.
Thanks for having me. I'm, you know, can't wait to watch this. And like I said, it's been nice watching you grow your business.
Thank
like
you
I
very
said,
much.
We're local, and I like what you're doing here. You're building a brand, not just, you know, your everyday franchise and all that stuff. So
I appreciate
it's been
that.
fun to watch.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.